Welcome to the channel, people. You know what? We're going to skip the intro today. I am feeling very ranty. I usually save these for Instagram, in case you haven't seen my car rants, but I'm frustrated. I'm trying to, I know you're here for pallets and tumbling blocks, and guess what? This is the DIY struggle, and part of this channel is me showing y'all the struggles. Well, you know what my struggle is for this video, and I haven't even got it started yet. I cannot find pallets or tumbling blocks, and I'm trying not to order them because I want to film it now. I don't want to have to wait because I'm impatient. And I know y'all ain't here to watch my grown self throw a tantrum. So I'm just let's count how many Dollar Tree stores it takes me to find these items, and then we'll jump to the DIYs. So those of you that also complain that your Dollar Trees don't have this and your Dollar Trees don't have that, well, guess what? Mine don't always have them either. So let's do this together. Let's count them. Here's one. Christmas. I'm lucky enough to have about $6 or $7 Dollar Trees locally to me and could not find these pallets. So I knew I had to suck it up and order them. Most of the time I'm able to ship to store and not have to pay shipping. It was not letting me no matter how many different stores I tried. So I wanted to let you all know that just in case I had to pay for shipping. Now, moving on with the DIYs. If you're not familiar with me, I like to use wood glue and hot glue for the bonds. Now, don't overlap the two or it's going to, cancel each other out. But for those of you who are familiar with me, I like to do this for a long hold and a quick hold because I got to pump these DIYs out. For this first one, you're going to need 11 tumbling tower blocks and line them up side by side like this. Again, if you're not familiar with me, I just want to show you that the hot glue will smoosh in between these pallets. You just pluck it out, get all them crusty bits, and, move on with your day. Move on with it. Or you can leave them there. If that's how you're rolling with it, I won't judge you. I might judge you a little bit. It might look gross. Anyhow, we're going to take two of the long pallets, and we're going to put them together just like this. Now, while this is drying, it should look like this. You can leave it alone. It should be fine. I just kept on going with it, and it ended up just perfectly okay. I'm going to just set it on top of these like this, so this way it's slightly over each of the very last end tumbling blocks. This is going to be like our base, and we're going to glue it to make sure it doesn't go anywhere, or you don't have to glue it, but I'm gluing mine, and once it dried up, we're going to just spray paint it. If you're not familiar with me, I love spray paint. Now, in the winter, I can't spray paint, so I have another technique I use to get these all taken care of quickly and get in all those little crevices and corners. But, otherwise, I spray paint as much as I possibly can because hand painting these sucks. I picked this beautiful napkin up from the Christmas tree shop for a big pack. It was $1.99. You can use whatever napkins make you fuzzy inside for this. This is just my idea. Take my ideas, remix them into whatever, makes you fuzzy inside. But I do want to show you this. Most napkins have 2 layers. That second layer is a pain in the bootay. It is just so frustrating trying to find it. But, be careful. Don't rush through your decoupaging with this because it can be a little bit painstaking later. Finally, after some, frustration and struggle, I got it. See, look at that. Good job, Brandi. Look at this. So you peel off your second layer, and then you just, have your one layer left, and it makes it so much easier for it to just immediately give a good hold. I use Mod Podge for this. There are other products you can use. I am a Plaid ambassador, and I'm a huge Mod Podge fan anyway, so I'm gonna love this regardless. I'm just telling y'all what I like. Easily put a nice fat layer on there, and then just tap your little napkin, and that's it. Go back over it one more time with a layer of Mod Podge. Let this dry, and this is important. You want to let it dry, because this next part, if you do not let it dry, the napkin is going to just kind of drag down your palette. You can, also, if you want to just take a piece of sandpaper right away, go right ahead. I am doing that afterwards on this part. And take the X-Acto knife, and I flip it upside down to go across the opposite way, and just pluck the little pieces out. When I was all finished, I then went over it with a sandpaper and just kind of got all the extra off. And if you do not like this look, you don't have to use the sandpaper. Make it as straight as you want. Also make sure you get all your extra pieces out. Wow, I really left all this in the video. I'm like cleaning on here for y'all too. This is a finger bow. I do not do good at bows. I learned this from Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. Thank you, girl. I do not do bows well, and I watch her do her little finger bows, and I thought this would be really cute on here just to add over. So you're not going to find bow tutorials on this channel, just to let you know. I finished this off just by painting the bottom a light chocolate color, and then going over it to get in the crevices with the antique Waverly wax, and then added a tiny embellishment to the bow. For the second one, we're going to layer 3 tumbling blocks on top of each other, just like this. And we're going to need 4 of these and 1 of these long pallets. And that's it. That's all we're going to need to accomplish this little look. This part is important though if you're trying to get as square as you can get. You do not want like 2 in the middle, 2 on the ends. You're going to kind of like overlap. So you'll have 1 overlapping the bottom on the other for all of these, to where it's kind of like a square, So be mindful as you're using your hot glue and your wood glue. So this way it is pressing in those seams, like where they meet, in just the right places. And on the very last one, I had to kind of do like at the same time, so this way when I pressed it, I didn't have to try and peel it back apart on the last one, like in the little last section. I hope that makes sense. If not, I'm trying to show you in the video. See how it's 2 connecting points here? So there's the one, and then there's the other. I didn't want to have to peel the other one up if I only did one side first. I hope that makes sense. You're gonna let this dry, and once it's dry, we're gonna spray paint these. Now, I've said this before that I like to spray paint everything at the same time, and I didn't show you all at one time in the video, and the only reason is because I used different colors and couldn't put them all in the same box, or I'd get them all sprayed on top of each other. I had to do these like one at a time. So this is why it's sectioned off today, but I still gotta show you some spray paint. I gotta show my spray paint people some love. Look how pretty it is. Oh, I just love how this turned out. And this is all we're going to do. We're going to put that palette on the center of that square like that. And we're going to decoupage some more. Because I got lucky at the Christmas tree shop and found all these amazing napkins. Amazing. I'm so in love with them. But funny enough, this one only had 1 layer. What are the odds? How lucky am I in one video to show y'all 2 layers and 1 layer? It was like Christmas for the filming industry. No, I'm just kidding. Anyhow, The words were not going to lay perfectly on the little palette, pieces, so I decided to carefully cut them out. If you're going to do a decoupage like this, where you want the words to show, don't get too worried if your napkin overhangs or doesn't overhang. If you throw some Mod Podge like I'm doing on here, like lather it on up, once it's all dry, you just take yourself a sandpaper and that stuff's going to come right off. Feel free to skip this part entirely if you're happy with it. I felt like it was a little plain and wanted to add some twine around the edges. And I didn't get wild with it and layer the whole thing. I just, did 3 wraps on each side of the corner just to give it a little something. And I just glued it down on the back. And then I'm only using hot glue for this. You can use E6000 or your Gorilla Glue gel, whatever makes you fuzzy inside. And that was it for this one, people. And I have to say, I do think this is one of my favorite DIYs I have ever made. What do you think? I'm gonna probably get some heat for saying this, but I think this is my favorite shelf creation that I have made. I just love this. Anyhow, you're gonna want to take 3 small pallets and make sure that they're facing out this way so you don't have them gaps facing out. You're gonna take 2 tumbling blocks, make 4 technically, just 2 on top of each other, and then a row of 3. You'll need 2 rows of 3. Figure out your, how you want to layer your shelves inside the design. It just so happens, see this pallet shelf? I did not realize until I walked into my living room where that shelf is hanging that I literally put these shelves on this tumbling block and pallet shelf the same exact way. I thought that was hilarious. I wanted to share it with y'all. Anyhow, this is tedious and I do break this down. So for any of you worried, there are parts where I actually freeze this DIY so you can pause the screen if you want to recreate this. So, it's broken down for you. So please, I got your back. I love this piece. So I was trying to share all the things about it. I created the ends first because I knew that was going to be at my starting point and I was going to work my way from each side into the center. And then I started growing. Then I started gluing tumbling blocks together. So here's the tally that you can use to recreate this. And if you want to freeze the screen, I did not freeze this part. I just, very slow showing you, you need all these parts. And this is all I use to create this shelf as far as the tumbling blocks go. Then you're going to start with your ends, space them apart, and then start gluing inwards. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 6, and then went back down 5. I do pause the screen in a little bit and show you the numbers. Also, struggle. My thing was sticking to the table. So be careful when you're doing this to make sure you don't need to go find a spatula in the kitchen to peel your DIY off of your table because mine was sticking pretty bad. So here's a little screen freeze, just, for you to stop and pause, check, make sure you got it going on, what I got going on if you're trying to recreate this. I then started piecing together the center before I started gluing just to kind of visualize. If your stuff is not layering up exactly right, don't worry. It's not, it's not going to be noticed. If it's off a centimeter a hair, if you're particular like that, by all means, measure away. I was not, I just eyeballed this. Here's another little screen freeze with the exact numbers and the exact spots and the 2 ends, the 1, 2, 3. So I also, here's the spray paint. We're doing just a flat black on this, and I gotta tell you, it did show a lot of the wood glue that was smushed in there, people. I was shocked. I was like, the white don't do this, but the black does. But yeah, if you're gonna spray paint, if you're gonna spray paint, it's beautiful. I love it. But if you're gonna spray paint in the flat black, you know, be mindful of that wood glue if you rub it on things. This is the stencil and the colors I'm using to do this, and I'm using just a little makeup sponge. I am sure people have seen the makeup sponges be used, you know, in the past. I'm literally just kind of giving this, I don't know, what is this, like a ombre, a blend inside of the stencil. I'm just switching between my little makeup sponges, and I carry this process on throughout the entire tumbling block. I had several ideas for the overall finish of this, but I thought I need to hook my modern people up. I have had modern people ask me for modern decor, and I'm like, you know what, this big bama jamma, I am going to just modern it up. This is some metal that I have, just kind of, you know, some galvanized metal. You can use whatever metal. You could even use some little, like, you know, tacks on the ends of this, but I'm just cutting it, and then I'm just gonna hot glue it to wrap around the corners of these little shelves, and that was it. In all seriousness, people, write in the comments below if you do not think this is one of my top 3 palette DIYs that I have made. I would love to know what you compare this or think is better than this one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, people. I hope you got some learning and some entertainment out of these. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about these 3? They are definitely my top favorites as of the dates. Until next time, bye!